Hey, Moss here, talking to you today about empowerment. There's this conversation that often occurs about having to reclaim our power, being in our power, being out of our power. And I want to offer a different perspective than I've really heard talked about much. And simply put, it's this: there is not such a thing that we are truly, ultimately, actually ever separate from what we would call our power. There's a common trope, the drop of water in the ocean, where the ocean is the universe and we're these drops of water and we're all part of the universe, which I kind of dig. And also sometimes that can be very fluffy and at times feel like unuseful, especially if you've grown up with more of a Western mindset. So, what happens if we make this more useful? Let's try on a different lens. Just for argument's sake, let's imagine that you or I are drops of water in the ocean. And let's say there was an ocean storm. This is out at sea, there's no land for miles, and the big wave crashes. When this happens, there's a huge splash. There's spray, there's mist, there's droplets. Say that you or I are one of these droplets. In a manner of speaking, in that moment, it might seem like we are separated from the ocean. This little droplet off at some kind of distance. Maybe it's a few feet, maybe it's a lot more than a few feet. Either way, there's this hang time, or so to speak. One lens, and I think the lens that gets most people kind of messed up, is there's this sense of disconnect. Oh no, I'm lost. I'm separated from everything. I'm alone. How will I ever get back to the ocean? From a little bit more of a zoomed out lens, for sure, that drop of water is about to be right back inside the main body of water. Also, it is surrounded by essentially nothing but ocean. It's still basically in the ocean. However, the continuity of just being with all the other water as one body might seem different. So, what do I do with this? How is this useful? Let's say that there's a moment of feeling disempowered, the experience of feeling super empowered and everything is just in flow and it's cool and it's great and it's happening automatically. And other times it has felt like that's further at arm's reach, more difficult to access. And I would offer that what's largely more difficult is the state of mind that you're in. So if I'm in this state of mind, which is essentially saying things are far away, there's distance between, there's impediments and barriers, somehow I've been locked out or have been disabled, it creates a negative feedback loop. It leads our internal experience to essentially attempt to ratify, to make it so that this is the case. And in essence, we're in a state of bamboozlement, like being hypnotized in a really unhelpful way. There is the classical examples of someone being hypnotized on stage for a show to think something that is not so. Now, whether they think they are Superman and suddenly they're actually picking things up that are much heavier than they can normally pick up, or they think they're a chicken and they're clucking. Both of these are essentially states of mind that their whole experience of existence is responding to. Such in this way, if I'm that drop of water and I'm convinced I'm separated from the ocean and I'm lost out in the universe, I'm floating in space, I'm getting all this airtime, and if I perceive it's a problem, the chance that my capacity to function at a high level could be negatively affected is quite high. Because essentially I'm telling myself so. And I don't mean that intellectually, I mean the whole nervous system is responding. It's sort of a fight or flight response. Simultaneously, if I'm in this moment and I'm going, oh, I'm here for a moment. That's interesting. Everything else is still here. I have not ceased to be connected. I'm just in a different position. Now I'm on an adventure. And maybe I'm even more resourceful because now I'm going to try new things. Human experience can be quite the same. We might have moments where things are in a different position than our comfort zone, or maybe something really hard has happened. And there could be the possibility of, in some way, becoming internally convinced there is a problem. However, many times we are experiencing things that another person would find to be very hard, and for us, it's okay. It's not a big deal. Other times, we're experiencing something that feels like a big deal to us, and maybe to our friend or someone else we know, it's not a big deal. It's subjective. I was talking with someone a little while ago, and he mentioned a concept that each mind is a universe unto itself, which, wow, how true is that? And so it becomes, what are we perpetuating and are we going along with, which is whether it's the chicken or the egg, I'm perpetuating it or going along with it. Once I'm going along with it, I'm perpetuating it whether or not I mean to, which again is not a fault thing. It's not a, oh, I've done something bad or wrong. It is maybe a suboptimal choice or option. I have better options. It is a less resourceful option if it's moving me somewhere that is less enjoyable or helpful. But it's all within my control. So if you think of it like this, just like the drop of water in the ocean, I, you, whomever, are constantly streaming into this space, into the body that we have. Arguably speaking, consciousness is a non-local phenomena, and that's a whole deep rabbit hole, and you can go and look that up, and I'll probably talk about it later. But there's increasing evidence to really support that, including within a Western scientific framework. So, if I take for granted consciousness is not local, which means that the whole of what I am is not only contained within this body, rather, who I am in this body is a projection of the rest of me. If that's the case, my power is a constant, and it is outside of my body, and it can be inside of my body, and my body cannot be cut off from it, because if it was, I would cease to be functioning entirely. I'm sitting here talking to you. I'm eating, sleeping, breathing. I could be walking. I'm talking. So clearly, I'm not cut off. The perception that I am can be a problem. The perception that I'm not can be empowering. So it's what do we do with it, and what do we do about it? Now that I've given you all kinds of conceptual stuff, and some of this is churning and you're feeling into it, the next part becomes, okay, well, if I'm experiencing some moment of perceived disempowerment, how do I overcome that? In the next video, I'm going to follow up on this and give some really tangible tools, examples, and what I have found to be wisdom about how to address this. In the meantime, I hope you're getting something great out of this. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. And if you have questions or thoughts, feel free to post or respond. Let's have a conversation. I'll talk to you soon.